Welcome to the 30-minute hour. It's the personal development podcast for the seven-figure entrepreneur who's looking to level up and become unstoppable. I'm your host, Eric Twiggs, your procrastination prevention partner. Joining me, you know him as the super CEO, the business strategist extraordinaire, and all-around good guy, Ted Fells.
Happy Monday. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. It certainly is. All right, it's it's a good Monday for us because we're going to be talking about how to run your advertising like a pro.
Mm.
How to run your advertising like a pro. Advertising is one of those areas where you can literally be taking money and just flushing it down the toilet if you don't
Or
know
you
what
could
you're
make
doing.
it grow. Or you can make it grow.
Or you can make it grow. But we're going to talk about the second option because I know that. But I bring that up, Robert, because I know that's a frustration point
100%.
for quite a few of our business owners that listen and watch, that they feel good about the ad they're running or the campaign, and it doesn't give them the results and it doesn't ring the cash register. So
we have to talk about the problems to get to the solutions.
exactly, there you go. That's what we're doing here on the 30-minute hour, talking about the problems to get to the solutions. This is the seat of power, Ted. This is the seat of power.
That we're in the seat of power right now.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well, as you can tell by now, this is not your everyday podcast. Ted, we didn't warn Robert backstage, but we do things a little differently here on the 30-minute hour.
Great.
I think he's going to be okay, though.
I'll be okay.
Yeah, I think so too. So you can listen to us in addition to watching us on the various platforms like Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube. You can actually listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, any of those other podcasting platforms. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss another episode. All right. So we're going to talk about it. How to run your advertising like a pro. And our guest, he has worked in advertising for 20 years. He's the CEO of Brill Media, a digital advertising agency for scalable business growth. The company's been honored 10 times across Inc. 5000 and Financial Times 500. So please join me in welcoming to the 30-minute hour, Robert Brill.
Yeah. This is great.
All right, man. Welcome to the 30-minute hour. It's an honor to have you on, Robert.
Same here, Eric. Thank you for having me, and thank you, Ted, for having me.
All right. So I do want to give people the full perspective. So let's start back at California State. When you were an undergraduate at California State, what was the vision that you had for your career?
I just need to make sure I made enough money to capture to live the life I want to live. I was like, I'm 42 now. I figured I'd be in my 40s and as a middle manager. But the last few years of going to school, I realized I wanted to work in marketing and advertising. So I really oriented my frame of thinking to that.
Okay. So you really weren't thinking about advertising or marketing back in those days?
Not at the beginning, but one of the biggest opportunities I had was I had to work during college. And so it accelerated my career by like 3-4 years because I figured out all the types of work I didn't want to do, like value-added reseller of manufacturing software, which is a job I had, oddly specific. Real estate. I didn't want to work in hospitality, which I had been, worked at Universal Studios and Cold Stone, etc. But I got a job doing, it was an internship working for a very early stage startup that never actually, I think, went anywhere. But they taught me what advertising is, what you can do with advertising. And then I was like, oh, that's what I want to do.
Yeah. That's one of the things that attracts me to marketing. So I saw something from the Small Business Association that was saying that, the two reasons that businesses fail, number one is cash flow, and number two, the lack of an effective marketing strategy.
Yeah. It's you need predictable, repeatable, and scalable business growth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, like, if you could be a mentor, if you could go back to that undergraduate version of yourself, knowing what you now know, what advice would you give?
I wouldn't give them any advice. Excuse me. I wouldn't give them any advice because I love the way my life turned out. Except the only thing that would dramatically change my life, I would say 3 words: buy Bitcoin 2010 or 11 or
Mm,
12. And then I'd
mm.
be a independently wealthy billionaire living on my private island somewhere. But if I wanted this outcome, and I do because I have an amazing wife, an amazing child, and a great marriage, and that's true wealth, and I wouldn't do a single thing to change that.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. All right, so you're now the CEO of Brill Media. So
Yeah.
talk to us about like who your ideal customer is and how specifically you help them.
Yeah, so most of our revenue comes from other agencies. We're a white label media buying firm for agencies. And our job is when they do creative work or other type of marketing work or whatever the case might be, our job is to help them with media buying. And media buying is just you run ads on Facebook and Google and Hulu and wherever ads are run with the goal of achieving your business results, leads, or sales. So when you see something that's sponsored, that's an ad, or promoted, that's an ad. And so we pair up our media buying services or ad buying services with the creative firm or the strategy or the social media firm, and we go to market together. Through them, we get to sell a lot of different unique things like helping people in states not get tuberculosis, to fancy honey, to collagen. We open movies. We help generate leads for healthcare, for consumer packaged goods. We launch businesses. We sell pillows. There's a whole variety of things that are really there for us because we know the fundamentals of advertising and how to make that work. Now,
Hmm.
ideal customer profile is going to be agencies. There's kind of like 3 ideal customer profiles for us: agencies or advertisers, businesses that have at least $1,500 a month to spend in advertising. Between $1,500 a month and 500,000, that's usually where they're running. But small businesses can work with us if they have $1,500 a month. And then finally, we have a new agency acceleration program for anyone that wants to learn the intricacies of running an agency. We can get you from where you are today to having a successful agency. It's $197 a month on the credit card. You get all the learnings that we have, all the collateral that we have, and probably most valuable is going to be weekly coaching with me and other members of my team. But that's who we work with.
Okay. So you mentioned something I want to talk more about the fundamentals of advertising. Like, what do
Yeah.
you consider to be the fundamentals of advertising?
All the stuff that is hard to do, boring, but pays massive dividends. It's
Mm,
have a strategy.
mm,
Never advertise because you read a headline and because you didn't do your research and because other people are telling you need to be on a platform. You don't need to actually be on Meta or Google or any one platform. What you need is a strategy. And
mm,
the first thing there is a strategy understands who your customers are, what your ideal customer profile is, what the transformative value of your business actually is to your customer. It understands your economics of like the value of a customer, lifetime value, customer acquisition costs. It also determines what your goals, what do you want to accomplish and when do you want to accomplish them? Do you need 100 more clients? You need $1 million more revenue? Do you need to be on the cover of Forbes magazine? Like, what are your business goals? And then finally, you also need to look at past marketing successes and failures so you don't make the same mistakes multiple times. And then finally, you put all that information together with what we know, which is how to achieve your goals based on the media marketplace right now. Like, we know where Meta advertising is good, where Google advertising is good. We know the methods and practices that work. So it's applying this side to this side so it fits perfectly And then you never have a question of why aren't we running ads on Pinterest? Or my neighbor told me his lawnmower business did really well when he ran ads on Nextdoor. Why aren't we running ads on Nextdoor? You know, like you'll never have a question. So your strategy helps you protect your advertising investment so it grows.
Yeah. So can you talk about this too? You kind of touched on it though. Sounds like part of the strategy is identifying your customer. So do I run the risk if I just target, left-handed golfers who are 35 and under? Do I run the risk of losing business because I'm too specific, or do I want to be specific towards a niche?
So the answer to that question is neither. The answer to the question is you probably shouldn't be doing this alone.
Mm,
That's the question. That's the answer to the question. If you have at least $1,500 a month to spend in marketing and advertising, don't do it alone.
mm,
Why? Because you aren't probably advertising is probably not your zone of genius. You're a
mm,
lawyer, you're a doctor, you know how to manufacture something, you're an AI, you're a coach. Like I spent 20 years working in advertising so I can give you service for $1,500 and make it profitable for me. Do you want to spend the next to this theoretical client? Do you want to spend the next 5-10 years figuring out? Probably not, because you've already figured out what your zone of genius actually is. You went to school for 8 years or 4 years to get your high value degree. Farm out the lower value work, which is going to be the advertising, to people who are experts in that and are passionate about that. So the answer is don't do it yourself, because that's probably a waste of money, because that's not your zone of genius. Now, to more directly answer your question, um, the one of the bigger trends in advertising in 2024 is black box systems. They're opaque. You can't see into them. It used to be that you could go very granular with targeting. You can have, like on Meta, you can have like 10 ad groups, all targeting different keywords, different interests, different lookalikes or remarketing audiences, etc. Now, what Meta wants you to do is go very broad. So the answer to your question is you want to go broad. Age, gender, and
mm,
location is broad. So I'm looking at my business, for example. There's maybe 40,000 agencies in the United States, maybe
mhm,
80,000 people who could possibly transact with me, owner and like head of business or CEO or COO or something. Our ads are targeting 140 million people in the United States, and they're working. They're turning into leads that are turning into sales. The
mm,
reason, because Meta is the best algorithm for advertising that exists in the marketplace. And if you know how to use it, it can do really well for you. You do broad targeting plus creative testing to understand which messages resonate with your audience, and your ads get routed to the right person at the moment that they're interested in what you have to offer. And you'll never know that if you don't work with an expert. That's the
mm.
fundamental problem, because these things keep changing. 5 years ago, you had to go very granular on Meta. So Google is doing the same thing with Performance Max and even how they assemble creative executions, with the search ads. They assemble, when you run Google ads, you're running 15 different headlines and 4 different descriptions, and they assemble them in a bunch of different ways. And some of those will turn into leads or sales for your business. And then you will learn which are the best and which are not the best. TikTok has that with smart ads. So the core idea is I can talk about all day. I can tell you exactly what we're doing to drive success for our business. And 97% of people who hear that won't be able to replicate it because they don't know the ins and outs of the business. And by the way, a year from now, it might be dramatically different.
Mm. And so I take it you study like the Google algorithms, so like if there's a change, you can kind of respond and that type of thing.
How we learn is we keep our ear to the ground. We have buyers. I have people on my team who have shown me screens inside Google that I've never seen in my life, like
Mm,
code and stuff. I'm like, wow, that's fascinating. You can do that. I have experts who are dedicated to Google and Meta and all the major social and search platforms. I have experts who are good at connected television advertising. And so they teach me stuff. And the value that our organization brings is you get the benefit from our entire team's learnings to put together a strategy and then activate that strategy so that it works for your business right now. Now, do I read the trades? Of course I read the trades. Do I watch copious amounts of videos on YouTube and Meta and trends? Of course. There are people everywhere, including me, talking about what works and what doesn't in advertising right now. The challenge is being able to apply that information in a way that's meaningful when you need to apply it. That's the challenge that novices don't that people novices have when they just don't have the experience in advertising. So, but I learned by constantly listening to podcasts, watching YouTube, and talking to our team about the methods and practices that work right now from actual campaigns and actual analysis that they're doing.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, the theme of this episode is how to run your advertising like a pro. So let's talk about some things here. So what are some other steps? So we've got entrepreneurs that are listening right now,
Yeah.
that are watching right now. They want to run their advertising like a pro. What should they do?
Yeah. So on Meta, it's that process: broad targeting, age, gender, location. Secondly, you're doing the creative testing framework. And by the way, creative testing framework, if you go to brillmedia.co and click on capabilities, we have a creative testing tab. You can watch a 13-minute video that goes into far more detail about how it works. But basically, over the course of a month, you're going to start generating leads and sales, assuming you have product market fit. And you will learn which one ad out of 125 is your absolute winner, your absolute best ad. And by the way, you don't have to actually create 125 ads, you just need to create 5.
Hmm.
So, and we go into how that works. You're essentially disassembling a bunch of different ads and combining them in 125 different possible combinations. That's how you do it. And what you end up doing, the way to grow an ad account on Meta is constantly churning out creative monthly so that you have your ads appeal to different audiences. Now, what should your ads talk about? There should be long form text, short form text, long form video if you have the ability to do that, or short form video, or very aggressive headlines or very laid back headlines. So you want to understand how to kind of maneuver to understand what your audiences want. Positive messaging or negative messaging. Negative messaging is like, don't lose out, worrying about losing something. Positive messaging is like, grow your business. I'm not taking anything away, you're growing. And then finally, one of the most interesting things is whatever you're selling, whether you're a product or service, your ads can be used to identify the problems that your customer has better than they can ever explain it.
Hmm.
And you can gather that information by talking to your clients or customers, looking at testimonials or reviews, talking to your salespeople so that you can hear the challenges that they have to overcome. You can even ask AI about industry trends for your particular type of business. But you can run all kinds of ads that just explain the problem that your customer has, and that will allow your customer to understand that you understand their challenge possibly even better than they even could have verbalized. So creative development and media buying or ad buying are highly interconnected. Creative is king, media buying is queen. The next component here is going to be pairing up your social media content posting. You'd be surprised, but we post on TikTok every single day. Well, for the last year, we've done between 5 and 7 days a week. Now we're back to 7 days. And there's a surprising amount of value to that, even for a boring B2B business, because it's literally me talking to this mic with that background on that, phone, that video camera, talking about, the 7 things you need to improve your Google ads and what you should expect from an advertising agency and how to find the best advertising agency for you. All I do is talk about the things that are important to me as a business, as an advertising agency owner, because I'm telling the marketplace what we believe in. So why that's relevant. Number one, for B2B service-based businesses, is it's going to reignite relationships that you've had, because your network is your net worth. I didn't come up with that. I'm sure you've heard that 1,000 times, right? So we want to reignite, and TikTok is a really important way to be part of the conversation, so that it programs your messages to the people that are most relevant for that message, which includes your past network. The messages or the TikTok videos that perform the best should then become your ads, because those are what the marketplace has deemed, the algorithm has deemed, are interesting pieces of content. And then you amplify all that content started on TikTok. You go to LinkedIn, you go to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And so you have this perpetual content machine that informs the business, reaches people, and generates interest that turns into business.
No, this is good stuff. I want to go back to something you said, like, you can do positive messaging,
Yeah.
you can do negative messaging, meaning, hey, you know what, this is what you're missing, or so. I'm curious, which one do you think is more effective generally?
It's
Which
both.
grabs people? Both.
It's both, because my mission here is to appeal to as many people as possible who are going to be interested in buying my product or service. Everyone is wired differently. We are not in 1985 where you had to create, or 1993 where you spent a few $1 million creating a Super Bowl commercial, then like $10 million buying the spot, make one. I make thousands. And when you have the ability to create thousands of creative executions routinely, you can talk to different types of people. It's micro content for micro audiences. So going back to your earlier question, which I think is very relevant, right-handed, whatever, people who knit in Wisconsin, whatever you're, and who are also golfers. I don't remember. I don't know. You can target those people with creative. You're just not doing it with data anymore, not as much on the black box algorithms. Okay. So if that's your audience, you make messages and creative executions for those people. So there are people who are going to be wired to be interested in positive messages, because that's just where their brain is at. Then there are going to be people who are, research says that, people feel a loss twice or triple as much as a win. Right. So, so appeal to those people. It's not an either or business anymore. It's all of it. It's abundance. It's abundance in marketing that needs to be accomplished at scale to build your business. Because I want an agency owner who gets motivated by loss just as much as I want to work with an agency or owner or business who's motivated by positivity.
Interesting.
So Robert, it sounds like there's a whole lot of analytics in this.
A ton. But surprising for all the analytics that are involved, what matters is how busy is your accounting team. Likes, comments, and shares don't pay the bills. So stop worrying about likes, comments, and shares. There's a place for them. Don't get me wrong. There's proxy metrics that you can say, okay, this video did well because they got more likes. That's a relevant point, but that's a very early stage or intermediate step. Like, I'm not going to base my business around likes or around impressions. What I need is money. And when we look at success metrics, we look at how busy is your accounting team. And we ask for feedback from the client. Fill out this document or give us a data feed. How many sales did you get on January 22nd? What's the value of those sales? And then we connect that to how much money did we spend in advertising, and over days and weeks and months, we get to understand the trends in your business. And that's lo-fi, meaning it's free to do. It just takes time to compile. There are other tools. If an advertiser has 50,000 or 100,000 or more to spend in analytics and attribution tools, we can implement those for them as well for more granular insights. But for a lot of clients, they'd rather spend the $50,000 or $100,000 actually growing their business with ads rather than analytics and attribution tools.
Yeah, makes total sense. And then, so you're talking about social media. and you and I were talking backstage about TikTok, and I've noticed even some of the videos we put on our TikTok, some, they'll get a certain amount, then you'll get one that just takes off,
Yeah.
you know. And I'm like, hey, I did the same thing on that video that we did on the other one. So what are your thoughts? What can someone do that wants to increase the likelihood of one of their videos or social media posts going viral?
Sure. Couple things. Number one, you want to create content that is going to grow your business. There's a strategy component here. My most important videos are the ones that have 300 views on them, because those are the ones that are talking to my very niche audience, agency owners, right? My video that went viral with over 200,000 views is talking about sales and AI, and it becomes a general conversation about sales, about the role of AI in the marketplace, people who are for AI or against AI. I can't sell to most of those people because they're not agency owners and they don't have businesses. Who I can sell to are the people who are watching my 300 view videos, because it's boring agency stuff that's only interesting if you're in an agency environment. Now, how do you go viral? How do you make those 300 views 600 and those 600 views 2,000? Number one, do it a lot. Post content every day. Number two, repost content with different hashtags and different headlines, and maybe a slightly different version of the video, like make an edit or make, do something slightly different. Because TikTok will consider it a slightly different video. It'll a completely new piece of content. I will say that I've posted the exact same content twice or three times, and like the third time it gets like 3,200 views, but the first time it got 250. The difference there is probably the description and the hashtags.
Yeah.
But if you want to do this at scale, make it a habit to make your videos slightly different. The other thing you want to think about is hooks and intros. So when we talk about hooks and intros, one of the big unlocks for me in 2023 was using a tool called Descript, which you're familiar with. So we were going to an editor, really talented editor. He was doing a lot of work for us, but it wasn't fast enough for me. I wanted to control the editing. And so now when I make new videos, and by the way, most of our videos are reposted from a year ago, they still cycle through. But when I have a moment to create new videos, I create one video on one topic. I go into Descript, edit it 4 different ways. So now I have 4 videos because I'm interested in what hook works. And by the way, that phrase, likes, comments, and shares don't pay the bills, that came from a video. So not only are you, which I put out, and someone was like, that's a ticket. So not only am I getting engagement and accessibility, I'm practicing my sales conversation. I'm practicing what I say on podcasts. I'm becoming a better version of a leader for my business by looking at the market feedback on what TikTok likes and doesn't like about my comments or about my content.
Good. No, that's good stuff. We're here talking to Robert Brill. We're talking about how to run your advertising like a pro. If you just joined us, you definitely want to rewind when this is over and go back and listen to the nuggets that he's just shared with us. So I did want to shift gears a bit and really talk about you from a business owner standpoint, because I mean you obviously are very successful and very good at what you do, and
Thank you.
but I don't want people just to think that's all sunshine and rainbows. I'm just curious, like, tell us about a low point that you experienced in your business, and what did you learn from it?
There was a period of time. I mean, there's all kinds of low points. I'll pick one that I've been talking about recently that I think is very relevant. This is for businesses who fall into this environment, and I'll tell you what it is. We had grown over a summer from 2 people to 7 people, and everything was going wrong. I was unhappy. My employees were unhappy. My clients, some of them were unhappy. I was backwards on billing. Like when I say backwards, I wasn't up to date on billing, and I was doing it myself. I have no business doing my own billing for my own company. So I learned a few things in that period. Number one, when I realized we made a kind of a big billing error, I was like, okay, finally, I need an accountant. I have to have an accountant. And the person I was working with had been my personal accountant for a couple of years, probably close to a decade, but he wasn't the right person for the growth of our business. He didn't know what to ask me, and I asked him for things, and we were misaligned for like 6 months. So one learning, which I don't really talk about, is businesses will outgrow people
Mhm.
in a whole slew of ways. I outgrew my accountant. Now I have a great accounting team. Um, you can outgrow a CEO. The founder may not be a good CEO for the next stage of the business, right? The people who are good at early stage startups may not find their place and their role because they want the thrill and the excitement, and it's the Wild West. And when there's structure and process, it irritates them,
Mhm.
right? So you might not find your people. That's one learning. Much more importantly is I could, for 6 months, I couldn't figure out what was wrong with their business. I had no idea. I just knew there was a problem. And I knew I hired smart people. I knew I hired talented people because I'd worked with some of them in the past and they excelled. What I was told by a really important friend and advisor who ultimately became our first chief operating officer, like, you don't have any process. It's like, why do I need process? These are smart people, don't they? You need process.
Right. Right.
So 6 months of a mess, then another 3 months to, like, have the conversations and turn it into a hire, and then another 6 months of implementing process. So I'm a m and it process, standard operating procedure is incredibly important for businesses. And I don't sell any process work or consultation. It is such an important part of the business because it clears an opening for growth, and the growth happens in a couple of ways. Number 1, employees are happy. When employees are happy, they're gonna stay with you longer. When they stay with you longer, your business benefits from tribal knowledge that just you grow inside the business, you learn how things work. I don't have Me as the founder, I don't have to train people. Employees can train people because 'cause they're doing it better than I ever could. Clients are happier as a result of people staying with the business longer. Um, and you have an ascension plan. Our director of media right now started as a media buyer, lower level job to a very senior job in our business. So the core idea of this is, at any moment and at every moment, write down how you do things so you could farm it out as early as possible, whether it's a person on Upwork or a virtual assistant or a hire from Craigslist. The best hire, not the best hire I ever had, because I've had amazing hires across my business. Such a gold mine, such a good dude that I met on Craigslist, who was our very first employee part-time, and he was with us for 5 years. Met the guy on Craigslist. So you want an opportunity, and he had no idea what he was doing because I didn't give him processes, and he figured it out. He dealt with the mess of the business. So anyone who has any sort of business whatsoever, write down the things that you are doing repeatedly so that at the moment you can hire someone in some capacity to help you with that process. And that development of a standard operating procedure never ends, by the way. We're going through that process again of developing a more robust set of systems and processes for our team, because I may not be the best CEO for this business. There may be other people who are better. And through that, I learned, through that issue of standard operating procedures mess, I learned how important it is for the success of the business to have happy people powered by a strong system, which leads to strong clients and business growth. And we've never dropped back to those levels we were at that moment. We've always been a lot higher because of that SOP and the good people that it brought along with us.
No, thank you. That's a great insight that you shared, and it's interesting. You wouldn't think that growing would cause that discomfort, but it really does, and I do see that play out a lot. And Ted, I'd love for you to jump in. I know you've experienced this at some point along the way in your business.
So you're saying just people, and I guess outgrowing people, the people that were with you that kind of got you to a certain point may not be the ones that can get you to the next point. And you said something, Robert, that it's like You know, like what if it's you? Like what? What if it's what if it's you? I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, I mean, that's kind of deep there. Like, what if you're not the one to be able to take it to that next level? And I think that you're always trying to think of, what's best for the business, and you're just constantly just, looking at where there's room for improvement, right? And so, and that's, adding some more talent and skills and systems, and I guess there's always a way to do it better. That I guess never just I guess settling that you're there. And I think
You've
that's
got to always replace yourself. I
yeah.
mean, and that goes for employees too, by the way. Like, you'll never get promoted if there's no one to take in the role you're currently doing.
Mm, true.
And people are always worried. Excuse me. People are always worried about, like, are you trying to fire me? No,
Right.
I'm trying to get you promoted.
That's right. That's
I'm
right.
trying to ensure that you can take a vacation and actually enjoy your vacation, and it's all covered.
Yeah.
Yep. Now this is good stuff. So you get asked a lot of questions all the time. I'm just curious to know, like, what's one question you never get asked, Robert, that you wish people would ask you?
Got it.
Um, I don't know. That's ridiculous. What kind of question is that, Eric?
That's a great response, Rob. It's like, what is that?
No, look, I think one question that I do get asked occasionally that I think is really the most astute question I can be asked is how do you find the right agency?
Huh.
Mm,
Okay.
That's very important
Uh-huh.
because the agency world is fraught with lunatics.
mm,
Case in point. It's fraught with lunatics, right? Look, there's people everywhere who are telling you they're the next Facebook guru or they're the next Google guru or whatever the case is. And there are
yeah.
people carrying courses and coaching on how to run Facebook ads and how to run email marketing and how to do the SEO and all that stuff. And I talk about this because the solve is looking at experience and you're looking at the war scars. You're looking for age. If you've been doing the same thing like I have for 20 years, I'm going to sound a lot different to you than the person who's been doing it for 3 years and is trying to pull one over on you. So
Mm,
the way that you look for, an agency, the other challenge in the agency world is that anyone with a computer and internet connection and a TikTok account can sell you TikTok ads,
mm,
but no experience. A lot of people are going to market because they took a few courses or coaching or whatever, and they're going in and they're saying, look, now I can be your Facebook person, which is fine. They could do that, but chances are it won't be as good as someone who's been doing it for many years. So what do you look for an agency that works? That's a good fit. Number one, you're looking for experience. Go to LinkedIn. 3 years ago, were they a crypto expert, and 6 years ago, were they in real estate? Or have they been doing this continuously for many years? Number two, are they making big, profound claims that seem too good to be true? Going back to this idea of fundamentals, the fundamentals work. Like the stuff that is on the fringe and it might be a good one-off and be the nice sizzle, that's fine. But you need the thing that's actually going to grow your business, not weird fake stuff. So you're looking for real solutions. Number three, you're looking for transparency. The biggest opportunity we have is to tell people what we do and have them understand what we do. Because when people understand the work that we do, they realize how dramatically valuable it is because it's hard work and it can't be replicated easily. And you're looking for this sort of communication framework of context, communication, and consistency. Context goes a little bit deeper into what are we doing. Whenever something's happening on a campaign, our clients need to understand why we're making those decisions on their campaign. They have a right to ask. And it is our job to ensure that they understand how we're spending their money and how we intend to drive business results for them. They need to become smarter about marketing and advertising as a result of working with us. The communication means, we need to be available. If you want to bounce ideas, you want to have a Slack message or a call, we're available there. And consistency, day in and day out, you know what you're going to get from us. We're not going to ghost you for 2.5 weeks. That's the framework that businesses need, because advertising agencies get so much information from clients. I'm asking you the deepest, darkest secrets of your business, and it hurts you if you're not honest with me. It hurts the business. So they have to be honest. So I have to see the business warts and all in order to be effective at my job. It requires a ton of trust. And in order to build that trust and maintain it, we are absolutely transparent on the way we work, because it helps make the case for why we're valuable, and it keeps us connected to the business. Those are the things you need to look for an agency. And if they can't give you that, run away.
That's solid. That's a solid answer, and I think that's a critical question. And I have had clients who've been burned by bringing on the marketing people that sold them that they were the experts, and then it really didn't pan out that way during the relationship. So no, thank you for bringing that forth. So we're at Ted Phil's favorite segment is called "Write This Down." This is where we each go around and we leave at least one takeaway from today's episode that the people need to write down so they can level up. So, Robert, you're the guest of honor, so we'll have you go first. What do the people need to write down from today?
I would say, can I say two things?
Sure.
Number one, broad targeting is going to be very important for most of your advertising campaigns. Learn from that and then drill down where necessary, like maybe Google Ads, etc. And number two, your marketing messages, your advertising creative needs to talk about your client's problems so that those messages resonate to customers.
Good. Write that down. All right. Robert, thank you for sharing that. All right, Ted.
I'm sure Robert will like this one. I mean, what kind of resonated the most is get some help. Yeah, get some help. I mean, you do what it is that you do, and find someone that can help you with what you're trying to do with your marketing. And then they can partner with you in it, right? And somebody that you can trust there, because that's a big thing. I mean, in working with marketing. I mean, that's just one of those things, man. A lot of times as business owners, I mean, we put money into things and we want to see the return, right? And the return doesn't always happen right away, right? And that's an issue, right? Like we're used to, putting some money out and buying this piece of equipment, right? Or buying this office. Like we have something that's tangible, but oftentimes, I mean, you can go out and you can put money into a campaign or whatever, and you may not see that return right away, and you have to be able to have a partner that you trust and that you can trust the process, and then also one that's going to work with you if you're a small business, right? I mean, they know your dollars are limited, right? That's a key thing too, right? I mean, so just finding a partner that's experienced, one that you can trust, and then one that's willing to work within your budget, and and really, and if it's a partner that's open to wanting to have a long-term relationship with you, then they'll you'd hope that they'll be flexible with you, like Robert seems like a flexible kind of guy. So give him a call.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Write that down. Thank you for sharing that, Ted. So my uh, addition to this is similar to what Ted just said, but and it's something I say to clients all the time, right? It's just because something has to be done, it doesn't mean that you have to do it. That's just something I try to get across all the time, and I think this advertising piece falls right into that. I mean, you want to run your advertising like a pro, hire a pro. There you go. Show's over. All right, thank you. Uh, Right? I mean, that's the best way to do it, right? Somebody
Yeah,
that knows what they're doing and can watch those, pay attention to those little nuances and the little
yeah,
details, and free you up, like you said earlier, Robert, to work in your zone of genius.
exactly.
So yeah, I mean that's it. Write that down. So Robert, I mean, no, this has been awesome information. Thank you for sharing everything that you shared. I'm thinking you're gonna have some people calling you and reaching out to you because they want to run their advertising like a pro now. They're tired of being in double A and triple A. They're trying to go to the major leagues.
That's right.
They're trying to get to that next level. So how can the people best connect with you?
Our website is brillmedia.co, B as in boy, RILL media.co. There's a start now button. Fill out the form. I'll get an email, and you will get an email prompting you to schedule a time to talk with me. And we can have a very specific conversation about your marketing efforts and get started on some ways to grow your business.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you. Again, thank you for sharing everything you shared. This has been a fantastic episode. And speaking of sharing, don't forget to share the show.
Share the show. Share the
Share
show.
the show.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you, Robert. Thanks for adding that share the show there. That put us over the top. No, thank you. We definitely appreciate that. Uh, but no, in all seriousness, for those of you watching and listening, please don't keep this a secret. You know, share this information because there's other people who need to run their advertising like a pro. This has been a fantastic episode of the 30 Minute Hour podcast. Don't forget you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any of those other places. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss an episode. So that's our time for this week on the 30 Minute Hour. Thank you again to Robert Brill. And until next time, have a great one.